So, next part of indicator 8, we are going to talk about tips and markups. And a lot of the stuff that we do with tips and markups, the way of solving it is a lot like what we had done taxes earlier. And so, let's go ahead and look at our learning target. I can use proportional relationships to find the amount to pay for a tip and the amount of markup on items. Okay, so we'll be learning some new vocabulary words: gratuity, tip, markup, selling price, wholesale price. Okay, so let's talk about what is a tip or what is a gratuity. So very often, let's say when we are going to any place, we pay a tip, whether you're going to a restaurant or you get a haircut, get nails done, whatever, you are getting a service for you. So for that service you are paying a little extra than what the cost is, and that basically is what a tip or gratuity is. Okay, so a tip or gratuity is an additional amount of money paid in return for a service. And this amount is sometimes a percent of the service cost. And the total amount paid is the cost of the service plus the tip. So we add that tip on to the cost of the service. Okay. So let's say that, there are a group of people of 8 people. They are at a restaurant, and the bill for the 8 people was added up to $125. Okay, so at a restaurant, uh, the total amount was $125 that was, charged to 8 people at the restaurant before the tip was added. And then the group wants to add an 18% tip. Okay, so what will the total billing or the total bill include, including the tip be? What will the total bill including the tip be in this case? All right, so what we're going to do over here, we are again going to solve just like we had done with taxes in the earlier part of this indicator. We are going to follow somewhat the same format. We can use again a ratio reasoning like we did in the past, or we can use properties of operation, or we can solve using percent of a number. So there are again so many different methods, and then you can choose which one works out best for you. Okay, so I am going to start with the percent formula, where a is equal to PW. My percent is the 18%. And if I say 18% as a decimal is going to be what? 18 over 100 is a fraction. So as a decimal, this is 1800. All right. So I can always write the percent as a decimal when I'm doing my calculations. And the whole is $125. So then I'm going to try to find this part which tells me how much the tip should be. And that tip is the amount that I am going to add on to the total cost to know how much we need to pay at the restaurant. Okay, so this is 1800 times 125. So then once I have it set up like this, it is a case of simple multiplication. So 125 times my 18% tip. Okay, here 0 digits, then after the decimal 2 digits. Always do this so we don't forget to move the decimal at the end when we are finding the product. Okay, so we have 5 times 8 is 40, 2 times 8 is 16, plus 4, which gives me 20. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 2, which is 10. On the next row, annex a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And then I'm going to add this. This is 0, 5, 2, and 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. Once I have this, I'm going to move it 2 decimals to the left. So the total tip amount now, okay, the 18% of 125, this part, if this A is equal to $22.50. But this is just the tip amount, and this will have to be added on to the cost of of the food that was bought. So here we are going to do 125. Okay, and to this we are going to add on, so this is $125 plus my $22.50. Okay, so when I add it up, I get 0, 5, 6, 7, 4. So $147.50 is the total amount that I should be leaving in the restaurant with the tip. Okay, so this is one way of calculating it. The other way is we've talked about the ratio reasoning. And in the ratio, when we are just doing two equivalent ratios, and I'm going to write it out like this, right? So this tip amount, T is standing for the tip amount, okay? And so this is your tip amount, all right? Over the amount of the bill, which was 125. Okay, so this is the amount of bill, is equal to, what is the tip? 18 over 100. So now I've written it out as an equivalent ratio like this, because 100 times 1 and 2500, okay, gives me 125. I'm going to do exactly the same thing over here, and I do times 1 and 2500, because whatever I do to the denominator, I've got to do exactly the same thing to the numerator. And when I multiply 18 times 1 and 2500, you are going to get 2250, which is the tip. So when I multiply this amount is going to be 2250, which is just the tip amount. And then I am going to again take this tip amount and I am going to add it to $125 to know that I need to leave a total of $147.50 over there for the services that were used up. All right. I can also use properties of operations, which I showed you in the earlier video. And in this again, we are going to write it out. Yeah, let me just do it here. The properties of operations method, again, the tip amount over the total amount, which is 125, is equal to 18%. And then I am going to write the 18% as a decimal. So that is T over 125 is equal to 1800. Okay, so that is 1800. And there is my equation, which is now what? It is a one-step equation. And so therefore, T divided by 125, the opposite of division is multiplication. So we are solving for one-step equations. And so the multiplication property of equality, I am going to multiply both sides by 125. And 125 divided by 125 is 1, and 1 times t is t. And then is equal to, when I multiply again 1800 times 125, I am going to get the tip amount of $22.50. And then again, this is just the tip. And so this tip again, now this has to be added to the original amount, which is $125. And so I end up with $147.50. So these are the different ways, again, I wanted to show you. And it's just basically a repetition of what we did earlier. But for a tip, we do have to add that on to the final amount. But first, we have got to calculate the tip. Okay, so let's talk about what is a markup. Okay. So, very often, what stores do is like whatever the item is for, they increase the cost of that item. And that is called a markup because the purpose is for them to make a profit. Okay. So, let's look at these vocabulary words over there. We have the markup, we've already talked about gratuity and tip. All right. And so, in order to make a profit, stores typically sell items for more than what they pay for them. The amount the store pays for an item is called the wholesale cost. So the wholesale price or the wholesale cost is what the store is paying for the item. Okay. And then you got to look at what is the selling price. The amount of increase is called the markup. Okay, the amount that the store is increasing the price, that is called the markup. And then of course the selling price is the amount the customer is paying for the item. So this is what the manufacturer is buying it for. This is the amount that they're increasing the price, which is markup. Selling price is what the customer is buying that item for. Okay. The selling price is equal to the wholesale cost plus the markup. Okay. So selling price, what the customer is paying, is equal to the wholesale cost. All right. Wholesale cost plus the markup. Plus the markup. So, yeah, so selling price is the wholesale cost plus the markup. All right. So, let's work out a problem. And let's see. We are now doing markups in this case. So I'm going to leave that over there so you can see what the selling price is. That means how much is the customer paying for that item. All right. So let's say the wholesale cost for each shirt at a clothing store is $17. Okay. Is going to be $17. And the store manager plans to mark up the shirts by 125%. Going to mark up by 125%. So what will be the selling price for each shirt? So how much is that customer going to have to spend in this case? Okay, so I am going to again do we are trying to find this part. A is equal to PW, where P is the percent, and 125% is what? If I divide as a decimal, I get 1 and 2500th. Okay, so A is equal to 1 and 2500 times 17. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the multiplication. So 1 and 2500 times 17. Here I have 2 digits. Here I have 0 digits. Total amount is 2. Okay, so 7 times 5, I have 35. Carry over 3. 2 times 7 is 14. And I have plus 3, so 17. Okay, plus 1. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1. So I have 875 over there. And then I annex a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. And 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, and then I'm going to add it. So here I have 5. A 7 plus 5, I'm going to get 12. Carry over 1. 8 plus 2 is 10. Plus 1. So here, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and then I am going to move 2 decimals to the left. So therefore, what is this amount. I have $21.25 is the amount that is marked up. So this A is $21.25. This is how much more is added to the original amount, and the original amount was how much? It was 17. Okay, so we are going to do 21.25, which is the marked up value to the original amount of the shirt, which is 17. Okay, so then I get 5 to 8, $38 25 cents is actually what the selling price is going to be now. So because that's what we're trying to find, is the selling price for each shirt. So look at the amount of profit that manufacturer has made. It was $17, and he increased the price 125%, which was the markup, more than what the wholesale cost was that he paid for. And so that amount is then added on to that original cost of 17. So those shirts are now, instead of 17, they're being sold at the store for $38.25. So that's basically what a markup is. Okay. And then again, you can use ratio reasoning, which we have discussed before. So we are just going to write a proportion once again. So this same thing, I'm going to show you again with ratio reasoning. So we are going to call the amount of markup X. All right. So this is my markup. Um, all right. The amount of markup is X over my wholesale cost, which is 17. So this is my wholesale cost, all right, because that's how much it costs the manufacturer, is equal to 125%. So 125 over 100. Okay. Now, because 100 times 1700 is 17, right? Times 1700 is 17. So whatever I do to the denominator, I do the same thing here. I'm going to times 1700. And when I do 125 times 1700, I am going to get 2125. I'm going to get 2125, which is the amount of markup. And then again, I'm going to take that markup and I'm going to add it to the wholesale cost. So $21.25 plus 17. Um, plus 17, and I'm going to get $38.25. So this one, again, this is to do with ratio reasoning. And then again, we could have used properties of operations. And I'm going to show you that again. With the property, I'm going to write this the same way. And then is equal to what I had earlier, which is 125 over 100. And then I can just convert this to a decimal, because this is going to be X over 17 is equal to 1 and 2500th, right? So this is again a repetition. That's why I'm not going to spend that much time. But look, this is now a one-step equation, and x divided by 17. So opposite of division, or the inverse of division, is multiplication. So we are going to use the multiplication property of equality. Whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the equation. So I am going to multiply with 17 and multiply with 17. 17 divided by 17 is 1. So x is equal to 1 and 2500 times 17. See, same thing. And I get $21.25, which is my markup that I have to add to my wholesale cost of 17, and I get $38.25. So these are all different methods, and you can pick and choose based on what suits you. You will still end up with exactly the same answer. Okay. Let's do one more problem. for markups. And okay, this one has to do with the percent of increase. And we've already done that lesson in indicator 7. Okay, so if you want a refresher, you can go back to indicator 7. This part of your markup is done the same way, all right, with percent of increase. So let's say Ben's family is shopping for a new car, and the selling price of a car is, okay, so car shopping. Selling price, that means what you're paying. Selling price of the car is going to be 24,199 and 50 cents. $24,199 and 50 cents. All right. And Ben researches to find the wholesale cost on that particular car. So the wholesale is what the manufacturer paid or the person who's selling. Wholesale price of that car was $22,100. Okay, so looking at this now, we've got to figure out what is the percent of markup. Okay, so what is the percent of markup? So uh, let's just do basically how we did our percent of increase. We can definitely use that formula, but we can look at, okay, we should do the part and the whole. So we have the selling price, um, we have the original price that it was. So the wholesale price is your original amount. This is your original amount. This is what the person who's selling the car started with. All right. And then made the price so much higher. So this is now your new amount. This is your new amount. Okay, and so we are going to take first and foremost, how much was the increase? What is the amount of increase? Okay, amount of increase. That's what we need to look at. So if you remember the formula from percent of increase, because it has gone up, the price has gone up from indicator 7, percent of increase is equal to, since the new amount is greater, so I'm going to do new amount minus the original amount to give me the part of the whole. This gives me the part, always divided by the original amount. Is always divided by the original amount, which is the whole. Okay, which is the whole. So what's my new amount? My new amount is 24,199 and 50 cents minus my original amount, which was 22,100, and my original amount, which is my whole, is 22,100. Okay, so now when I subtract 24,199 and 50 cents from here, I am subtracting 22,100. Okay, annex your zeros here. And so decimal under decimal, subtraction 0.59902. Right? So what is that part? Because we can also do this. This becomes my part. Okay, that becomes my part over, this is the whole. This is the same thing. Okay, part over the whole. And part is basically what is the amount of increase, which is this much. Okay, so we are going to do, this is equal to 2099 and 50 cents over 22,100. Okay, and then all we have to do is divide. And so when we divide, I am going to go ahead and do 2099 and 50 cents divided by 22,100, right? And so decimal above decimal, this is zero, can go, all right? And then obviously this will be here, minus zero, zero times that, and I get to 099. Put the decimal, I bring this down. This number 20,995 is still less than this. So again, another zero, okay? And then I'm going to bring this down. And now let's look. I have this number times 9, okay? And so 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 0, 0. 9 times 1 is 9, right? 9 times 2 is 18. So, okay, 18. And then we have 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1, and I get 19, okay? And then when I subtract, I get 0, 5, 0, 1. And what is 10 minus 9? Also 1. Okay, so when I get this, then I'm going to annex another 0 and bring this down. And 5 times 22,100 is going to give me this number. Okay, so now I have 95,000th, but that is in the decimal form, so I have got to change it to a percent. I'm going to move it 2 places to the right, 1, 2, and that gives me 9.5%. Okay, so 9.5% is the markup for the wholesale price on this item. Okay, so once again, this was just indicator 7 that we had completed, but this is the way that we calculate. All right, so once again, please remember tips and markups mostly function in the same way that taxes do, and you have got to first calculate from the whole amount what the tip is, uh, based on what percentage it is, and then that has to be added to the amount of the bill or whatever service that you are putting the tip on to get the total amount. And markup is basically how much the manufacturer is increasing the price from the wholesale cost which he originally got it from. And then the selling price is nothing but what are we doing? We're taking the wholesale cost and we're doing the markup, adding both of them, and that tells us how much the customer is going to spend on the item. All right, okay guys, have a great day.